I'm John, and welcome to Lucky Losers, the channel with content for all. So happy New Year to you all, hope you're all well. You may or may not remember that I made a series of videos about the history of public transport in Swindon, stretching back 120 years, and these were divided into 4 equal episodes, or parts rather, longer parts, from up to 1930, then 1960, then up to 1990, then up to the present day. So in this video, what I've done is to put all the most interesting parts together from those 4 videos and show them as one video and one ongoing history stretching from 1900 to the present day. So that's what you're about to see, starting off with a summary, with an introduction, and then finishing off with my summary at the end. So enjoy it. Buses were introduced into Swindon in 1927 after the abandonment of the Wilts and Berks Canal. Operated by Swindon Corporation, they made the tram network redundant by 1929. Swindon Corporation buses became Thamesdown Transport in 1974 when the council boundaries and name changed. Later, a limited company to comply with the Transport Act 1985, with the council as a major shareholder and subsidised, Thamesdown Transport was Swindon's largest urban bus operator. It was sold in 2017 to the Go Ahead Group and rebranded Swindon's Bus Company. Swindon's second oldest operator after Thamesdown Transport is Stagecoach West, the successor to the Swindon branch of Bristol Tramways, established in 1921. Formerly part of the National Bus Company and operating under the name Swindon and District, it was privatised in 1986 and absorbed into the Stagecoach Group in 1993. This series of videos is focused primarily on Swindon Corporation, Thamesdown Borough and Swindon Borough Council bus services and trams operated by Swindon Corporation Tramways, which is where the story begins. The Borough of Swindon was just 4 years old when the town's tramway service was inaugurated. Previously there had been 2 local boards, one for Old Town and one for New Town. Swindon became a borough on January the 22nd, 1900, when Queen Victoria granted a charter of incorporation. On April the 1st, 1974, under the reorganisation of local government, Swindon and the surrounding area administered by Highworth Rural District Council combined to form the Borough of Thamesdown. The new Borough Council pressed forward with the project, forming an electric light and tramways committee for the purpose, and on May the 20th, 1903, Swindon got its first mains electricity. On the tramways front, work had been carrying on since 1901 under the authority of Swindon Corporation Tramway Order. By September the 20th, 1904, the system was ready for the scrutiny of Board of Trade Inspectors, who travelled the whole network in car number 2. 2 days later, at a luncheon at the prestigious GWR refreshment rooms, Old Hinton was host to 100 distinguished guests, among them MP Lord Edmund Fitzmaurice and the Marquis of Bath. At the same time, employees of both the tramways and the electrical works were also enjoying a celebratory lunch provided by the Mayor. Lunch over, the official party were taken by car number 1 to the town hall, where the Mayor made his inaugural speech. Then it was back on board the tram, resplendent in its maroon and cream livery, for a tour of the network. Public services started immediately after this inaugural run, and with one notable exception, apart from the small hiccup at the volunteer corner, the tramways appear to have had a remarkably uneventful history until they were replaced by buses in 1929. The tramway's blackest day was undoubtedly June 1st, 1906, when a heavily loaded tram, returning down Victoria Road from the Bath and West Show, being held in Old Town, overturned, killing 4 passengers and injuring 30 more. In 1927, motor buses were introduced to cover areas not served by the trams. Orders were placed with Leyland and Guy, and at the end of March, members of the Electricity and Tramways Committee visited both manufacturers' works to inspect the new vehicles, which were well advanced in construction. Drivers and conductors were recruited during May, and on Good Friday the third of the Leyland buses were delivered. In February 1928, 4 more Leyland buses were added to the fleet, enabling increased frequency on 2 routes. But October 1928 brought a major development in the form of an extension of the Swindon borough boundary to take in Rodbourne Cheney, Morden, Pinehurst and Stratton Crossroads. During the changeover to buses, the tram drivers, or motormen as they were known, and those conductors who were old enough were given the opportunity to learn to drive buses. Tuition was given by an instructor from Leyland Motors. July 11, 1929 marked the end of the tramway era in Swindon. Tram car number 1, gaily decorated and driven by motorman Geoff Cathcart, made the last journey over the Gores Hill to Rodbourne route. Hundreds of people were waiting at the centre to see the tram set out on its journey just after 8 o'clock in the evening, and there were many cheers en route. At times the tram AEC Regal number 3, bearing the incorrect fleet number 1, seen when new in 1937. It had a Park Royal centre entrance, body seating 37, and lasted until 1952. Similar buses 1 and 2 were withdrawn in 1956. This photo shows this is the Wayman-bodied 20-seater Leyland Club, new in 1936 and used as a one-man bus on quieter routes such as Cope. There were eventually 5 of these little buses. The first of the double-deckers was this Daimler, operated as number 19, a 1938 COG6, which was to start a long association with this manufacturer lasting 40 years. Park Royal 54-seat bodywork was fitted. As for the war, the influx of industry and people, Swindon soon became the home of hundreds of evacuees, eventually dictated the need for more buses, so that in 1942 Swindon received the very first war utility double-decker built by Guy to ministry specification. It was followed by 6 others, which had the dubious refinement of slated wooden seating. Even with these new vehicles, buses still had to be borrowed from the London Cooperative Society and Lee Corporation. To reduce the possibility of blitz damage, buses were dispersed overnight to Coatwater, Westcott Road, Pinehurst and Walcott. VE Day, May the 8th, 1945, sees Guy Arab 53 utility, still in wartime grey, with suitable inscription in Wood Street, Old Town. 1947 saw the Daimler CVG6 number 56 with Park Royal body, and it was one of 15 similar buses which were the mainstay of the single-deck routes 1 and 2 for many years. This is the 1947 Daimler CVG6 with 56-seater Park Royal body. Buses of this type were the mainstay of the double-decker fleet for many years, the last not being withdrawn until 1970. This is the 1951 route map, with Swindon having a population of almost 69,000. There were then almost 27 route miles, which is in fact a marathon distance or over, and there were routes as far as Cote and up as far as Haydenwick. In this period, Swindon had no bus station as such, and buses departed from street stops in and around Regent Circus. The bus station first opened in 1966 on the site of the tram station in Corporation Street. Returning back to the fleet, 1954 saw a new generation of buses with the Daimler Free Line. This one is outside the railway mission in Wellington Street. This photo shows Spaceship 81 undergoing the tilt test at the Park Royal Bodyworks in London. There were 4 of these unusual buses. The following year saw the introduction of newer models. In this photo we see the Daimler CVG6 number 95 with handsome park body delivered in 1955 as part of a batch of 12. The body bore marked similarities to the London RT. A further 12 similar buses were purchased in 1957. This is a photo of a 1957 Daimler CVG6 with Park Royal body, when new, in an experimental livery with a reduced area of cream, introduced by the then manager, Mr. Singh. The route network continued to expand throughout the 1950s into the new housing estates such as Pen Hill, 1952, Walcott East, 1956, Park South, also 1956, Lawn, 1958, and Park North, 19... AEC Reliance with Willowbrook dual-door bodywork seen when new at the 1964 Commercial Motor Show. Typical view of Regent Circus in the 60s with Daimlers loading for Park North and Walcott respectively. This was the hub of the network until 26th of September 1967 when the Flemingway bus station opened. The last front-engine buses delivered were 3 Daimler CVG 630s, double-deckers with forward entrance bodies by Northern Counties, new in 1967. This one is seen when new near the Bodybuilders Works in Wigan. 1967 Leyland Leopard, passing the Railway Museum in Farringdon Road prior to the introduction of the one-way traffic system. These dual-doorway buses had bodies built by Pennine Coachcraft Rochdale. Only 4 dual-doorway double-deckers were purchased, numbers 152 to 155. 1970 Daimler fleet lines with Northern Counties bodies. Since 1970, a policy of single-doorway specification has been adopted. One of the first of Swindon's rear-engine buses, a Daimler fleet line CRG6LX with Northern Counties 72-seat body, new in 1968. The next single-deckers were 5 Bristol REs with ECW bodies and 43 dual-purpose seats suitable for longer journeys. These enabled private hire work to be developed, and they were subsequently joined by 4 Dennis Dominators with Marshall bodies, which increased the private hire fleet. This is the route map in 1979, when Swindon had a population of almost 100,000. There were 69.17 route miles. On the subject of route maps and bus numbers were marked by many alterations and extensions to services, notably the introduction of new routes to freshly developing areas, including the Princess Margaret Hospital on the 4th of January 1960, Covingham on the 6th of October 1963, Greenmeadow on the 1st of November 1964, Eldene on the 2nd of August 1971, Leiden on the 8th of April 1974, Tootle on the 5th of September 1976, Haydenley on the 13th of November 1977, and then came other services such as Freshbrook, Westley, and others. The first one-man or woman-operated buses were introduced on the 4th of May 1969, and up until the end of the 1970s, 80% of the undertaking's mileage was operated on this basis. This picture shows the Daimler Fleet Line CRG6 with ECW body repainted in the old Swindon Corporation Tramways colours to celebrate the 75th anniversary of public transport. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just wondering about these pictures here, which I actually made. I did show them in those videos. This is a cross between a Dennis Dominator and something else, marking the Thames Down Transport livery, double-decker, marking those 120 years, or rather -4. And this is the bus of the future in Swindon Bus Company's colour, the flying bus, which will be around, I hope, in 2050. So that's what those pictures are about. That's my vision of the future. And when I make another video in 30 years' time, we'll see if I was right. Yeah. This all leads up to the series of videos that I will be making about transport in Swindon. The next one that I release will be about other bus operators operating out of Swindon. Yeah. So that's what will be coming up. So that's it as far as this video goes. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a comment and the usual other YouTube stuff. So if you're a fan of transport, stay tuned for the next one coming up, as I've mentioned, about other bus operators from Swindon and their history. So I'm going to love you and leave you, and see you next time. Bye.